Okay, what I'm about to show you is not necessary. As I said, you can do your validation in the files. Even if you're doing a database project, this is a sort of advanced feature of databases, but I think I'll show it you anyway, just to sort of complete what we're doing. So if we go to our database, what I want to do is sort of pick up the data as it is sent from the program to the database and sort of intercept it before it's placed into the table. And to do that, I need something called a trigger. So if you go to More on the end, if you're in your WPS database, if you go to More and select Triggers, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a new language, pretty similar to Basic or Visual Basic, to define what we're going to be doing. So the first thing we need to do is add a new trigger. Notice there are none at the moment. Oops, I don't seem to have much page. Let's move this across. There we go. A trigger is like a function. It just calls a function if something's gone wrong, like an error function. What I'm going to call this function, and I've got to give it a name, is invalidAge. In fact, I'm going to have one trigger with a name, invalidAge, and then I'm going to use a trick to force it to make an error, which I'll explain shortly. So it's on the table person. If you've got many tables, you can use a drop down and choose which table it's on. And when the event is going to happen, when it's going to be triggered, is before it is inserted into the table. There are a few more. You can do something after it's been inserted, so you might want to send a message back or do some calculations with it, but we're going to be looking at the before event, before it's inserted, and again we've got before it's updated or before it's deleted, depending on what you're doing. Now, what I need to do is write the code, and it's very much like Visual Basic. In other words, we are going to have a begin, and we're going to have an end, which is like the curly braces in PHP or the indentation in Python. It's just delimiting a section of code. And then we're going to have an if statement. So you can indent it, it really makes no difference. If, now this is the way we talk about a field. Because it's going to be a new value, we're going to use the keyword new, and it's a new age value because we're going to check whether the age is of a certain value, is less than 1. Okay, so we're not allowing anybody to put in an age which is less than 1. And then so that is very Visual Basic. Hopefully you'll be able to pick out the bits and pieces from Python or PHP on how that works. And the next piece of code is, well, if it is less than 1, I want to sort of make another function work. And actually, I'm going to use a function that doesn't exist. And the way to make a function work is to call it. And if I call no function, there is no trigger or anything else with that name, that is going to force the database to make an error and report back the error, and in our PHP code the result is going to have that word error. So that explains it. One last thing to do is to end the if statement, and we're using semicolons, so it's not Visual Basic. Visual Basic would not be using semicolons. It's actually a language that just belongs to MySQL, but that's pretty good. If we choose go, there we go, we have our trigger. If you need to come back to your trigger, you can click on edit and it will take you back. It's just done one thing that we didn't do. It said here in the definer, let's just move that across so you can see it, that it's en route at localhost, which is again it's the user, and that is how your database was set up. If you've got a problem, you might want to change that to WPS at localhost. That will be fine. Okay, so now we have a trigger which is going to work before we insert it, and notice we've got the SQL code if you need to create it in any other way, which is up there. That is going to do our validation. So in the next video I'll show you how the validation works, and fingers crossed we're going to get that error message come up.